On the surface, Khvostov doesn't seem all that interesting. It's a 600 RPM exotic auto rifle with a fancy ricochet round shot, and shoot to loot as a perk? Really? If you're someone that isn't excited for the latest reprisal of this gun in Destiny's history, I wouldn't blame you, but I'm also going to ask you to rethink your opinion, because in all parts of the game, this gun can be described with one word: magnificent. Khvostov is an adaptive frame auto rifle with fairly average stats for its archetype, with the exception of handling, reload speed, and aim assistance, which are well above normal. In particular, that 87 aim assistance makes this gun feel exceptionally sticky no matter where you shoot it on both inputs. Also, it has 17 zoom, which accurately replicates the feel of the weapon from its Destiny 1 days. And whilst zoom doesn't make the gun do any more damage further away, it does make the gun feel more consistent and stable at higher distances, thanks to the fact that the cones for aim assist and stability are pushed out further. And instinctively, you can just sort of feel this. As soon as you pick up the gun, you just get this immediate sense that this is a really stable experience. Even at range, this gun has absolutely no recoil whatsoever. Like Outbreak perfected levels of no recoil. Have a look at this. On the left, we're going to be testing recoil for the Summoner on MNK. Go ahead. Okay, now I'm going to do the same for Khvostov. No control, just firing. That is a huge difference. What is going on here? The only logical explanation for this is that Khvostov, much like Outbreak, has had some special work done to it under the hood that makes it far more stable than its stats would lead you to believe. And the gun is an unbelievable shooting experience, easily staying on target even through flinch and being one of the few guns in the game whose potential is only limited by its wielder. In other words, it's only as good as you are. The exotic perk, the right choice, states every 7th bullet from this weapon deals additional damage and ricochets to nearby targets. This seems like a gimmick until you actually use it in practice. It makes ad management a breeze, and all you have to do is shoot it. There's no precision requirement, there's no kill objective. Just shoot the target and every 7th bullet will go off and do its thing, pinging between targets with ease. Also, the first bullet in the magazine will always be a ricochet, essentially starting an internal counter of how many bullets have passed until the next one needs to proc. This helps make the gun feel incredibly capable no matter where and when you decide to use it. In PvP, the base ricochet bullet comes with a base 15% damage buff, meaning the body shot damage goes from 16 to 19 and the crit damage from 27 to 31. You might see slightly different numbers from time to time, that's just Destiny's rounding in-game. In its base state, it just bounces to 1 Guardian, and the detection radius is actually quite small. However, this functionality becomes even stronger when the first of its perks, Eyes Up Guardian, becomes activated. It states, collecting orbs of power strengthens this weapon's next several ricochet shots, providing more damage and more bounces between targets. The effect is more than noticeable. Collect an orb of power and you will get a new buff that says Eyes Up Guardian X7, giving you 7 juiced bullets. And juiced they are because it turns the gun from a decent and clear option to something potentially more busted than a pre-nerf Osteostriga with necrotic grips. It's a room clearer without needing to kill a single enemy. In PvP, the boosted ricochet performance is also very noteworthy. With the Darcy equipped, we measured live over on Twitch that it has a maximum range of 16 meters, which can only adequately be described as delightfully obscene. Also, instead of ricocheting once, it does so multiple times, even bouncing off dead bodies as well. Which means that to really unlock this gun's full potential, all you're gonna need is one mod. Kinetic Siphon. Rapid kinetic weapon final blows create an orb of power. Then all you have to do is kill a few things, shoot the orb that drops thanks to shoot to loot, and the weapon will now be in its final form. But what does that final form actually mean in the grand scheme of things? Let's talk performance. Right, let's begin with time to kill. In the current sandbox, players have a base of 100 health and 116 to 130 shield points depending on resilience levels. For now, I'm assuming that I'm facing someone at 100 resilience, thus requiring 230 points to kill them. Khvostov carries the adaptive auto-rifle archetype of damage, doing 27 to the head and 16 to the body in-game. This means that you need 9 crits to kill someone at tier 10 resilience for a very respectable 0.8 second time to kill, which can be tricky to pull off due to the fact that it's a tracking weapon. However, with Khvostov, regardless of the weapon state, the first bullet is always juiced up. In every test we did for the ricochet rounds, we kept seeing 31 pop up instead of 27 for the first bullet in the magazine, meaning that no matter what you do, as long as you enter the fight with a fully reloaded magazine, you're giving yourself a leg up to other auto-rifle users. When you do the maths, accounting for the fact that every 7th bullet is a ricochet round, you end up doing 224 damage to a player for the first 8 bullets. Add in a body shot for 16 damage and now we're up to 240. Instead of 9 crits required, you are now at 8 crits, 1 body. But you still need to be on target for the first 8. The good news is with 87 aim assistance and virtually 0 recoil or flinch, this shouldn't be all that much of an issue if you're a half-decent player. The ricochet performance in its base state isn't anything really to worry about. The radius isn't large enough for it to pose a problem. But when you pick up an orb of power, suddenly that battlefield looks like a completely different prospect. Assuming your target is within direct line of sight with other targets up to 16 meters, you could have a damage profile that looks like this. 256 hit points of damage within 8 bullets, with additional body shot damage coming from the ricochets. Or in other words, 8 crits to kill with a time to kill of 0.7 seconds, giving this a comparable time to kill with SMGs or the mid-range space. That places this weapon in an elite category of guns here, and the fact that its only condition is to pick up an orb of power to be absolutely nuts automatically makes this gun incredibly accessible to every kind of player. Simply have any orb generating mods or follow around a teammate that's generating orbs of power for fun, and it should work an absolute treat. In the current sandbox, it feels plenty competitive and it's great fun to use in a duel. But its playstyle in a world of aggressive hand cannon players will require more out of you, and it can be frustrating to continually double back and play cover. But once you understand its flow, there are few better auto rifles in the game for PvP. In PvE, this gun's main role is ad clear, and if an ad clear weapon is going to take up an exotic slot, it had better be special. The good news is, it's that, and so much more. We've already covered its ricochet ability in great detail. We've also covered the fact that it can ad clear entire rooms without breaking a sweat. But let's talk about the real reason you're going to use this gun. It's an orb generating machine. Put on Kinetic Siphon, bring this gun out, and you will be creating orbs for days. Just shoot things and watch those orbs get generated. You don't even have to go and pick any of them up either. Just shoot them and they're yours. This alone makes the gun endgame ready. Shoot to loot is an S tier perk because in high difficulty content you either don't have the time nor the positional flexibility that normal PvE affords you. In environments where you have to be in a certain position to proceed, having the ability to pick up that heavy brick without physically going there could mean the difference between success and wiping. That and having a higher damage bullet just for firing means that this will be deceptively effective in content where the enemies are bullet sponges. With the ricochet performance clearing entire rooms and contributing to your total damage output, another very underrated aspect of this gun is its ability to gain super and transcendence energy ridiculously quickly. Since it's kinetic, it builds both sides of the transcendence bar simultaneously. Also, thanks to auto rifles being in a good spot, it wipes the floor with red bars, and most orange bars don't take much longer to go down. If there's a champion mod for auto rifles in any season, this should be firmly on your list. It's a wildly potent weapon with the right build, and once you get used to shoot to loot, you'll wonder why you ever played the game without it. It's that good. Now, it's possible that you might be somebody who has come to this part of the video having heard and seen everything beforehand, and are still wondering if it's worth the time to grind for Khvostov. After all, with so much being released with the final shape, it's a perfectly valid question to ask, especially if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of time. Well, here's my answer to that question. In everyday PvE, this gun will feel much like Prismatic does, overtuned and overkill for the difficulty that's in front of you. It will make you feel every bit the witness-killing god machine that you are, and you will have a hell of a time. For mid-game PvE and anything involving serious ad density, this gun shines very brightly, and the orb generation simply by holding down the trigger is way too good to pass up. It's hard to see anyone using any other exotic for any build that heavily relies on orb pickup. This gun is equal parts fun and utility when the going gets tough. In endgame PvE, what the gun may lack in outright damage is more than made up for with its ridiculous ricochet performance and shoot-to-loot utility. If there's a need for transcendence or there's certain strikes where you need to hunker down and just clear progressively, this gun will be more than capable of doing it. Its biggest flaw is that it can't delete yellow bar targets, but that's a flaw of almost every primary ammo weapon in the game. In PvP, you will have fun shooting through flinch and enjoying the occasional ricochet kill. If you've got the playstyle for it, you're going to have a blast with it. How it fares in trials is yet to be seen, but auto rifles have plenty of potential there anyways. Look, I'm a Destiny boomer, okay? I've been playing since Destiny 1 Alpha. Before this game became about cranking 90s and build crafting to excessive degrees. Back in my day, Titans were the ones who were known for punching. But Khvostov reminded me that at its core, Destiny 2 has unparalleled gunplay. It's about the guns. It always has been about the guns. And using the Khvostov made me feel whole again. It actually reminds me a lot of Jalo Supercell. In Destiny 1, this gun was an arc-based exotic auto-rifle with a Riskrunner-like ability to chain lightning. It was far from the most effective thing in the world, but it was just so fun to use. In my first 3 hours with this weapon, I racked up 1,620 kills. You don't do that unless you either really like the feel of a weapon, or if it's so devastatingly effective that you can't ignore it. The Khvostov does both. This gun is absolutely worth the grind. And for all of the reasons mentioned previously, it is utterly magnificent. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video and you found it a little bit helpful, consider subscribing and also coming by the Twitch channel for a stream or two. We tend to have fun there on occasion, I promise. I'm Ascendant Nomad, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.